The Lands Between. Here, you either auto-farm your way to the top, or lose your head trying. This time guys, we'll be diving headfirst into the world of Elden Ring to discover which boss mogs the player the hardest. So without wasting any time, let's get right into it. Now, it might be a bit early in the video for a hear me out, but listen, Godrick, he's something of an actor. Upon first inspection, Godrick is, well, he's fucking ugly. But compared to everything else we've seen in the game so far, he's got that baseline level of build-up as a threat. So when this 10-foot tall monstrosity starts spitting insults at you, you'd be forgiven for being a little shaken. Once you look past his goofy face, his weird baby arms, and the constipated grunting, he's actually quite intimidating. At first. That is until you start reading into his lore and realise he's got the intimidation factor of a guy wearing a muscle t-shirt in a room full of bodybuilders. See, Godrick is good at farming aura against the peons of his realm, but like a high school bully, the second somebody stands up to him he folds like a wet napkin. He fled the capital city dressed as a woman and has since had his ass handed to him by every motherfucker in the Lands Between. So much so that the only reason Margit is even camping his front door so relentlessly is to stop him from getting absolutely dumpstered by the Tarnished. He's only really good at pretending to be strong, which counts for something, I guess, but it won't get him any higher than last place. R'hllana is Elden Ring's answer to Pontiff Sulyvahn. The stance, imposing. The drip, immaculate. And the suffering caused, immense. She's a lady of little words and many magic swords as she stabs, sidesteps and slices her way across the arena at Mach-fuck speed. R'hllana is a princess of Caria and a master swordswoman, with a poise and elegance honed over countless years of trying to impress her childhood crush. Well, he was in his childhood, she was watching from the schoolyard fence, but the copious amount of restraining orders issued by the Leyndell Sheriff's Office didn't stop her. She just had to find somewhere out of Marika's jurisdiction, using her sheer lust for age-inappropriate edgy e-boys to perpetuate racism with shocking efficiency. So when Messmer was sent out on crusade to the Shadowlands, R'hllana pulled a runner with half her sister's army. In battle, R'hllana fully controls the arena. Much like Messmer, you aren't safe no matter where you try to run, and if you're not careful you might catch an unwanted pounding from her twin moons. She may be one of the most infuriating bosses in the game, and of questionable moral standing, but I'll be damned if she doesn't look cinematic as fuck as she gaslight gatekeep girl bosses her way to your controller going through the TV screen.
Foul tarnished, in search of the Elden Ring, emboldened by the flame of ambition. Someone must extinguish thy flame. Let it be Margit the Fell.
Morgott ain't no first timer when it comes to auto farming, alright guys? He's a professional. That stance is practiced, and those lines have been recited 100 times in the mirror. Morgott is committed to serving the Golden Order through and through, preserving its rigid hierarchy and ensuring purity among the people of the Lands Between. Remind you of anyone? The thing about Morgott is he likes to spout about the Tarnished's graceless inferiority when he himself is an omen, as graceless as they come. He likes to bully others because his dad never hugged him, though I guess in this case it's his mum who's to blame for casting him into the sewers as a child for being a little too ugly. He's since spent his time hobo-maxing his way to the throne of Leyndell, and he now thinks he's tough shit. He's like an internet incel who studies eugenics to try and claim he's more attractive than you to cope with his own unfortunate face. Except in this case, it's his own lack of grace. This man is spurned by the Erdtree, so much so that he has to hide his identity from his own people in order to rule, lost in a sea of self-loathing, grasping desperately at straws to try and prove himself worthy, despite his cursed blood. Now, his single-minded dedication to his duty is respectable, and he does truly believe everything that he says, but come on dude, have some self-respect. He's got some deep-seated insecurities, but he's good enough at aura farming to make it onto the list.
May the curse seep to thy very soul.
Baal as a boss encapsulates the best of what Souls Dragon fights have to offer. Big, terrifying, and cinematic as fuck. This dude doesn't need a cutscene to show how much of a goat he is. No. Instead, the whole Jagged Peak area serves as his build-up. And when he finally makes his entrance in this majestic mountaintop arena, that's when you know you're in for one hell of a fight. Lore-wise, Baal the Dread might be tied with Queen Marika in terms of body count, as he is supposedly the ancestor of all the lesser dragons we see in the game. Back when dragons ruled over the lands between, he must have gotten tired of Placidusax calling him a hoe and clapped back, resulting in a confrontation that left him missing a leg and some pretty significant chunks of his wings. It wasn't a complete L for Baal though, as he managed to take 2 of the Dragon Lord's 4 heads with him. Even in his weakened state, he's still an absolute unit though, slinging lightning across the arena and just being a badass in general. I don't think anything I say can convey Baal's aura with as much conviction as our good friend Egon though.
Curse you, Baal! I hereby vow you will rue this day. Behold, a true Drake warrior, and I, Egon, your fears made flesh. Solid of scale you might be, foul dragon, but I will riddle with holes your rotten hide with a hail of harpoons, with every last drop of my being. Yeah!
Chadagon of the Golden Order, bearer of the Elden Ring and professional pickup artist, is both a warrior and a lover. There aren't many who can say they ended a war with Riz alone. He's the man who charmed his way into the bedchamber of the Queen of Caria, produced some of the most powerful beings in the world, then left his wife and kids to go bag fucking God herself and create the rest of the most powerful beings in the world. Unfortunately, even Leyndell's top shagger couldn't stop Marika from shattering the Elden Ring harder than she shattered his pelvis, and while she was busy getting crucified, he was hard at work preparing it. Now he spends all his time moping about inside the Erd Tree, hammering the ring's countless millions of runes back together. Probably for the best though, as if he'd been free all this time, he'd probably have fucked every man in the lands between's wives by now. All this alone time's given him an ample chance to practice his aura farming though. And to be honest, he's pretty damn good at it, even while looking like a half-decayed corpse. It's time to address that elephant in the room though, that being that Marika and Radagon are apparently the same damn person. That's right guys, when he forgot his and Renalla's wedding anniversary and was told to go fuck himself, he said, bet, and went and did just that. Truth be told, we don't actually know whether or not they were always the same person or not, but this lore was made by Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin of all people, so it's probably best just not to think on it too hard. Anyway, Elden Ring's top shagger naturally makes it onto the list.
Champions! Prepare for battle! General Radahn, mightiest demigod of the Shattering, awaits you!
The Young Lion, the Star Scourge, mightiest of the demigods. It's General Radahn. Radahn is one of the most hyped characters in Elden Ring, a legendary general of great stature and even greater prowess. A master of the ways of war, magic, and leadership, with a strength and kindness that seemingly lacked in the rest of his siblings, and is supposedly well liked by his people, not something the rest of the demigods can really say. He fought Malenia the Undefeated to a standstill and forced her to unleash her scarlet bloom all over his face. Unfortunately, this means that in the modern context, Radahn's been taken out by an interstellar STD with a 0% chance of recovery, which has left him a shambling, mindless husk of his former self. Make no mistake, this guy is still an absolute Chad though, and luckily for us we get to fight him in his prime in the DLC. Just look at that stance. Magnificent. So to recap, this guy is both the mightiest warrior in the lands between, and a master of all things magic. He learned gravitational sorcery so he could ride his favourite warhorse even after he outgrew him, then decided to hold every single star in the sky in place with sheer force of will, because why the fuck not? Oh, and he can turn into a literal meteor. Bro is so Chad, he survived a literal god rotting his brain and body from the inside out. So Chad, that even after going fully insane, he remembers to still take care of his horse, whose name is fucking Leonard by the way, and still keeps the goddamn stars themselves in their fucking place. Even on the verge of death, bro does not let up. It's just such a shame that when he gets brought back, his aura farming's interrupted by a touchy femboy. Aura loss, little bro. 5th place.
Oh, death. Become my blade once more.
Malekith is basically what you get when an anime kid tries to explain his OC to you. He's a living alpha wolf meme, except he actually has the aura to back up his ego. That being said, you can hardly blame the guy when he's the half-brother of a literal god. Malekith is Queen Marika's shadow, bound to serve her unquestioningly while also serving as the watchdog of the greater will. Naturally, this doesn't stop him from being fucked over by Marika like every other cunt in the lands between, but for him there was one very special task she had in mind. Marika plucked the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring, removing it as a fundamental concept of the world and bound it within Malekith. This makes him the only being in the lands between who can permanently kill anyone, or at least he was before Ranni stole a fragment of the Rune of Death from him. But that's neither here nor there. Point is, everyone who even somewhat values their life fears Malekith like the plague. Even the demigods and all their hubris won't dare to face him directly in battle. Malekith absolutely knows this, and uses it to aura farm every time you die to him in game, because lore-wise he is choosing not to permanently kill you here.
Cower before Malekith, the Black Blade.
He's also one of the most anime-esque bosses in the game, flinging himself around the arena, pulling 1,000 cut sheaths out of his ass. He's a super cinematic boss that feels great to fight, and let's be honest, his cutscenes, man, just send shivers down your spine. Great shit.
Corpse after corpse left in my wake. As I awaited his return. Heed my words. I am Malenia, Blade of Mikola. And I have never known defeat.
Malenia doesn't spend her intro cutscene insulting you like the other demigods do. Instead, she works the crowd a little, hyping herself up before delivering one of the coldest lines in the game. She's not trying to mog you, she's simply stating a fact, and it's up to you to decide whether or not to be afraid. Yes, the answer is yes. Malenia was by far the hardest boss in the game before Promised Consort, and I've heard the phrase so many times it's etched into my brain with permanent ink. She is by far and away the most impressive warrior in the lands between, standing toe-to-toe with her half-brother Radahn even while being completely unable to see. Yes, that's right, Malenia is pulling all these moves while being blind as a bat, instead relying entirely on her superhuman senses to fight. Although some might argue that exchanging her eyesight for what is essentially 360-degree sensory overload is actually an advantage. See, Malenia, like most of her siblings, is cursed. and hers is a cross-dimensional fungal infection that refuses to die. Indeed, the eldritch god of rot decided to make its home inside her, and her body has been slowly and painfully decaying for a good few hundred years at least. This has led Malenia to essentially give up on life, and live in service of her eternally young twin brother Mikola. This naturally involved the attempted kidnapping of Verdan. But, as you can imagine, moving a 30-foot tall slab of muscle isn't exactly very feasible for little old Malenia. Not to worry though, as previously mentioned, she's harbouring several strains of eldritch herpes, and has no problem using them as leverage to get what she wants. So, as the reality set in that she couldn't defeat the Star Scourge with her swordsmanship alone, she chose to pop a cheat code and bloomed all over his face. Gross. Side note, when Malenia blooms, she gets overtaken and turns into the goddess of rot.
You will witness true horror. Now, rot.
Well, if getting ass naked to assert dominance isn't aura as fuck, I don't know what is. I rest my case.
Let your flesh be consumed by the scarlet rot.
Long and hard didst thou fight, tarnished warrior. Alas, I am returned. To be granted audience once more. Upon my name as Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
Where to even begin with this man? The voice, the drip, the giant fuck-off lion strapped to his back. Godfrey Mogs the Tarnished in just about every way, and he wears it like a badge of honor. Sure, you've almost made it to the Elden Ring, but unfortunately for you, so is he. And you can hardly blame the guy for his confidence, considering he wields a battle axe twice the size of you like it's a fucking paperweight. Of course, he also has to lil bro Radagon in the process by bringing up the fact that he was the first Elden Lord. I think the most impressive part about Godfrey is that he keeps his composure even while staring down the person who just murked his son. Now that's what I call commitment to the aura farming grind set. Of course, that calmness could potentially be attributed to Sarosh, the previously mentioned giant fuck-off lion whose sole job it is to suppress Godfrey's insatiable lust for battle, essentially placating him enough so that he could make it through his wedding night without ripping his wife's head off or something like that. Now, Sarosh has done his duty through the heat of 1,000 battles, and yet it's this one goofy-ass Tarnished that finally gets the better of him. Godfrey is simply unable to contain his alpha male rage anymore, and with a heartfelt goodbye to his dear friend, he rips his jaws apart and snaps his neck with his bare fucking hands. Jesus! But with Sarosh out of the picture, Godfrey can finally unlock his full power. Battered and bloodied by his struggle with Sarosh, he lets out a triumphant roar and kindly notifies us that his alpha male prowess has been unleashed. He is no longer Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
Now I fight as Horaloo. Warrior!
Somehow this guy becomes even more of a Giga Chad in his second phase, a walking, talking, unstoppable mass of muscle and testosterone, suplexing the player and ripping the very earth up beneath them with nothing but the strength of a man on the verge of getting his balls unblued after a several 100-year-long dry streak. He's a man on a mission, and although it breaks my heart to ruin my boy's riz like that, it's probably for the best to be honest, as I doubt even the great Godfrey could keep his mewing streak while watching his ex-wife getting dicked down by his replacement.
Mongrel intruder. That tarnished, it seemeth. Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one so bereft of light? Yet, my purpose standeth unchanged. Those stripped of the grace of gold shall all meet death. In the embrace of Mesmer's flame.
Mesmer's intro cutscene is some next level aura farming. This guy really just calls you a
Mongrel intruder.
and Edge walks towards you with an absolutely class A villain monologue. And the voice. This man impregnates everyone within a 5-mile radius every time he opens his damn mouth. Let's be honest, we all know a Mesmer wannabe in real life. An edgelord e-boy with parental issues and a superiority complex. The main difference is that Mesmer actually has the style to pull it off. He's hot, he's got a voice like honey, and a certain unspoken riz that makes even the most noble Carian princesses go mad with lust. Oh, and an ancient snake god wrapped around his heart, causing him immense suffering and numbing him to all pain and most emotion. His edgy persona is not actually a persona, he's just done with life. But his sworn duty is what keeps him going. What is that sworn duty, I hear you ask? Mass genocide. Based. That being said, Mesmer is still a bit of a sensitive soul, and the years of eternal crusade have taken their toll on him. Where once he used to be out on the field, crucifying civilians by the thousand, now he stays secluded in his keep, clutching the last gift of holy water his mother gifted him, before sending him away to the lands between, never to return. Now, some may claim his mommy issues detract from his aura farming efforts, but I would counter that by saying that since he doesn't put any effort into being cool in the first place, it doesn't really affect his aura all that much. Plus, can you really blame the guy for wanting the approval of his mother when his mother is literally God?
O lightless creature, embrace thine oblivion, as shall I.
Well, we're at the end of another video. Thank you all for watching, and if you made it to the end, please feel free to leave a like. I've been really enjoying making videos lately, and I'm sure I'll find the motivation to make more. But for now, thanks once again, and this is Cassivus, signing off.